heaven. We call it Monday Match Night. Catch all the hard-pounding JPL Monday night action from now until the end of the season on CVM TV's Monday Match Night. Matchday Mondays at 7:4 to 5 p.m. with rebroadcast Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Nothing else can quite match up. Monday Match Night, powered by Sunshine Snacks and ABC Electrical.
Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
Well, among the questions not asked coming out of that report prepared by the Integrity Commission into that property in Beverly Hills, Kingston 6, which the Commission says is linked to the Prime Minister Andrew Holness, is the construction itself. And why is there controversy over the construction? The KSAMC says all is in order. The contractor says all is in order. But the Integrity Commission says no, it was not built in accordance with what was approved by the authority. Brings into question the issue of building codes. What is so difficult for contractors to do in terms of following the building code, given that there are so many examples of developments being built in variance with what is approved by the authority? We're seeking an expert's opinion on that very issue this evening on Lead Story right here on CVM TV. Welcome to Lead Story here on CVM TV. My name is George Davis. All right, so still ruminating on that report prepared by the Integrity Commission, which was tabled in the House of Representatives on Tuesday concerning the property at Waycliffe Close in Beverly Hills, Kingston 6, which the Commission says is linked to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister says, no, it's not linked to me in any way. But notwithstanding that we've dealt with that side of the controversy enough, we're talking today about the actual part of the report concerning the development itself and what was approved. It was said that 4 two-bedroom units would have been built. The Commission says when it went there, it found 4 four-bedroom units. It says the building was being developed in breach. The KSAMC, the people who examined, the people who did the enforcement, the monitoring, they said that all was in order. The contractor says all was in order. But the Director of Investigations at the IC, Kevin Stevenson, said that no, it was being built in breach. We are looking at what the report said specifically about the building, and we prepared a few slides to help guide the discussion. And so we look at them now, though taking aspects of the report and just reminding you what the findings were. So if we may, slide 1 says require collaboration and coordination. Well, recommendations from the report based on the breaches that the Integrity Commission says it saw. Require collaboration, coordination among a couple of entities, registrar of titles, local authorities, which would be the KSAMC or other municipal corporations across the island, and other germane entities to ensure that the titles issued for development, which are constructed in breach of planning, building and development permits, to resolve that, to iron out the kinks in that. There was a recommendation that the KSAMC conduct an administrative review of the compliance regime as it exists concerning building permits that it issues. The Integrity Commission wants the review to include a capacity assessment to examine the adequacy of the human resources available to the KSAMC for post-monitoring activities and with the technical competencies of the officers responsible. So the Integrity Commission in this recommendation is asking questions about the competence of the officers that the KSAMC uses to do post-permit monitoring, and also the technical competence of these officers, because according to the Integrity Commission, based on this investigation, which started on July 10 and which concluded sufficiently for the report to be tabled in the House of Representatives on Tuesday of this week, the kind of expertise, the human resource is lacking, the technical technical competence is lacking. And so the IC has asked the KSAMC to conduct a review to seek about strengthening those things. You can make no mistake, it would not have recommended that course of action to the KSAMC if the human resource was found to have been strong and if the technical competence of the people doing the post-permit monitoring was also strong. So clearly the IC has problems with those things, and it is asking the KSAMC to first review with a view to fixing those things. Then it asks that, given the breaches identified in respect of the development, that was the Waycliffe Close development, it's recommending the DI through the IC that the KSAMC make their own assessment of same and thereafter take any actions as are necessary and appropriate. I find this recommendation curious because the people who would have done the assessment were officers of the KSAMC. So I have to question the utility of asking the KSAMC to go and do now what agents of the KSAMC already did, unless the IC is saying, well, those agents, those officers who undertook the post-permit monitoring and other evaluation activities where the Waycliffe Close property is concerned, set them aside and allow different agents, different representatives of the KSAMC, an alternative pair of eyes or pairs of eyes to go and look at what was there to see if it was in order. That appears to me to be the only sensible thing to draw from that recommendation, because it will be foolhardy, a fool's errand for the KSAMC to be asked to do what the KSAMC has already done. Another recommendation from the report is that the DI is recommending that the introduction of legislation. This now is for the lawmakers, which imposes pecuniary penalties. A lot of people have been calling for this on developers who willfully violate building and development permits for financial gain. It says more particularly, profits attributable to breaches should be forfeited. Additionally, developers should also face debarment in respect of planning and development approval for an appropriate time period post-breach. So a lot to unpack in this recommendation. Let's keep it right there on the screen for a moment, because it says you want legislation to be introduced which imposes pecuniary penalties on developers, to fine them for willfully, which will be the difficult part of the bit. How do you prove that they willfully did it? Anyway, it says legislation to levy penalties on those who willfully breach building and development permits for financial gain, another aspect to it. So you can breach it and it may not be a problem, but if you breach it willfully for financial gain, that's when it becomes a problem. Let me see the slide again, please. And then it says profits attributable to breaches should be forfeited. And then developers should also face debarment in respect of planning and development approval. So if you, John Tom, as a developer, has willfully breached, then you should sit out for a period before you can come forward to the authority to ask for any development to be approved and for you to be given a permit, which seems sensible to me. So this recommendation seems spot on, given the problems that have surfaced in recent times about properties being developed contrary to what has been approved by the competent authorities. All right. For some perspective, I'm turning to eminent professor in the area of architecture, a doyen at the Caribbean School of Architecture at the University of Technology, Professor Carol Archer. Professor, good evening. Welcome to a lead story here on CVM TV. Professor? Not hearing her. All right, can we take a quick break and come back? Let's take a quick break and come right back and see if we can make the connection with Professor Archer.
Affects everyone. Truth is, avoiding care leads to a weaker immune system. That means you could get really sick. The truth is, the hardest pill to swallow isn't the medication. It's the problems that follow when you don't take them. Let's get through this together. Remain in care. You can live life to the fullest with HIV. And that's the truth. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
No more fear of missing out. CVM TV News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
If I want it and it's for the home,
it is here.
It has to be here.
It is here.
Everybody have find things online, but there's nothing that beats when you go inside the store and touch it and feel it.
So I have a little test for you.
Yes. You realize I don't know much about plumbing. Come on, man. Follow me. June, you'll get through, don't worry yourself. It's after the on your list.
Right, so my guest, Professor of Urban Planning and Public Policy, Carol Archer, she has, only 30 years plus about that of experience in the field. And there are few, if any, more suited than her to examine these things. Good evening, Professor. Welcome to Lead Story here on CVM TV.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
All right. The Director of Investigations, of course, you can rest assured I'm not taking you into the politics behind this thing or even the cas, just looking at the substantive issues that are not that are not intimate only to this report, but have arisen over time where developments and breaches are concerned. The Director of Investigations at the Integrity Commission says that it would be useful for legislation to be passed to levy significant pecuniary fines on developers who breach building permits. Also, for there to be a period of debarment for developers who willfully breach, and that there should be a system put in place where the profit from the breaches in buildings, that those profits are forfeited. Given the problems that we've seen over time where development breaches are concerned, do you think these measures are necessary?
I do think these measures are absolutely necessary. Now, the issue in question for that particular location is one that is related to planning, which is the zoning, the number of, the density, the habitable rooms, the number of habitable rooms that are permitted in that area. Now, that is important because the infrastructure has to be in the community to support that type of development. Now, I believe in that location, the density is 30 habitable rooms. Yes? I need to check because, of course, we recently, 2023, approved the new development order. But recently, it was changed. So the issue of the density is critical. Then there's the issue of the building code. Now, when you get approval to build a certain type of unit, we have issues of fire safety, we have issue of access, we have issues of, traffic movement in and out of the community.
Yes.
So those are critical considerations where the technocrats would have to consider when they are giving approval. Yes, so those are things that needs to be considered when an application comes before the local authority. Now you speak to the issue of capacity of the local authorities, and that's critical. You need a certain number of building officers to be able to inspect pre and post construction, to inspect the development that is taking place based on the submission. Now, as far as I'm aware, we do not have the number of persons, and most of them are trained at UTEC.
Yes.
And we have, exemplary persons being trained to be employed by the local authorities, in this case, the KCMC. Unfortunately, in terms of budgeting for the staff. I understand through the Minister of Local Government that there are consideration for increasing the number of persons. So the question of capacity, where do we have enough persons to inspect pre-construction? We do not.
Hold a point there, Professor. I have to take this quick break and we come back and continue. This is Lead Story here on CVM TV.
Final whistle!
Fight for victory, a battle for supremacy.
Purple rain inside the national.
He who lifts the crown will reign as all island kings.
Joy!
Kingston College versus Garvey Maceo in the Olivia Shield. The ultimate coronation. Live Saturday, 3 p.m. on CVM TV.
Schoolboy football brought to you by EdgeChem, AIM Financial Cooperation, Texaco, Connect Services, Jamaica Stock Exchange, and Sunshine Snacks.
If I want it and it's for the home,
it is here.
It has to be here.
It is here.
Everybody have find things online, but there's nothing that beats when you go inside the store and touch it and feel it.
So I have a little test for you.
Yes. You realize I don't know much about plumbing. Come on, man. Follow me. June, you'll get through, don't worry yourself. It's after the on your list.
Professor of Urban Planning and Public Policy at the University of Technology, Jamaica, Professor Carol Archer is with me talking about aspects of the recommendations made by the Director of Investigations at the Integrity Commission pursuant to his report on a property at Wycliffe Close, Beverly Hills in Kingston 6, which the Commission says is connected to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister says no, not so. But the substantive issues of whether or not there were breaches at the facility and whether or not the rules exist to hold developers to account to breach. That's what we're discussing. And of course, the capacity of those who provide post-monitoring services and pre-monitoring services on behalf of the KSAMC, whether that is an issue that needs correction. Professor, here's the thing. There have been so many news reports in recent times of developers breaching that which they were permitted to build, to the extent that I, as somebody who's not connected to the intricacies of development, I'm wondering, what is the value then of restricting anyone in what they are permitted to build in a particular community? Because if you're permitted to build 20 rooms, you build 30, and then if the authorities come down on you, you apply for a change to what was approved originally, and then everybody lives happily ever after. What is the efficacy of these building approvals and these permits if so many developers are not following the rules?
Right. So, as I indicated before, the issue of safety is paramount. Now, can you imagine that we would not have done the necessary checks, the inspections, the necessary engineering consideration, and approval was given for construction, and we realized that because of the density, we have a hurricane or earthquake and lives lost. That could have been prevented had we considered in terms of the density, had we considered in terms of the design, and that's why we have the application process. This is something that is pertinent worldwide. Just recall recently the earthquake in Turkey.
Yes.
Yes. And some of the technocrats, the professionals, were actually jailed.
Yes.
Because they went against what was permitted. Yes. So these are some of the consequences that our developers, that our professionals need to understand. We have codes, we have standards and ethics that some of the very
Professor, I'm going to come back to the codes, but hear me now. Why then? Because I, for one, just looking on, I am tending to agree with the Director of Investigations at the Integrity Commission that developers in breach should not profit from the breach and that there should be stiff and serious pecuniary penalties for those who breach. Because I'm saying, just from my eye is not untrained because I'm a media man and I've been so for almost 20 years and I see the reports. I know that every so often there are reports of buildings being put up in breach, and it's as if it happens because there is no deterrent to doing so. And I'm asking you, why then would you say that, boy, a legislative change to put in stiffer penalties and to take away the profit out of the hands of those who breach is perhaps not necessary at this time?
It is necessary. You profit today, but when we have, and the science have proven it, issues such as climate change impact, those are some of the things that we need to consider. Yes, the developer might profit today, but the community, the residents, when the sewer system that is not able to accommodate the waste overflows and the residents have to live with the stench, that, the developer profits, yes, and the money is in his or her pocket, but the residents have to live with that for however many years. You know that in terms of real estate investment, that's one of the largest outlay of funds that an individual can give. So
yes,
we need to take consideration to the small man, so to speak,
yes,
and not just to the developer.
The big developer. So here's this now. I see clarity from you. Your word in these matters is, of course, gospel. But here's the thing. I'm not quite sure what conclusion to draw. I've read things that say that we don't have a building code. In fact, I was reading an article from Noel da Costa, the former president or chairman of the Jamaica Institution of Engineers, which was talking about one from the 1800s, which was updated in the mid-1900s, and we still don't have a final one. I saw something from the Bureau of Standards last year, 2023, to suggest that one is being formulated. Does Jamaica have a building code? And if no, what do we build against?
We do have a building code. We have the Building Act. Now, here's the issue with the code. The regulations that governs the code, those are currently being formulated, and therefore we need to have the regulations in place so that issues such as breaches and so forth can be addressed. That's one of the major issues. But we do have the Act, or we do have the codes. We have UTEC, and through my faculty, we have been partnering with the JIE, with Bureau of Standards, with all the various government agencies in terms of developing the codes and now training for persons to have knowledge and familiarity with the code. But in terms of implementing without the regulations, that's the issue at this point.
I hear you. So here's this thing. I want to hear you again. You touched on it before the break. The quality of the professionals who do the post-monitoring and the pre-monitoring and the continuous evaluation. I know that any man or woman who is in this line of work and trained locally would have passed through your hands at some point in time, or you would at least know them. Can you speak to the professionalism and the quality of the people who do this kind of work?
Yes. Well, absolutely, I can tell you of the quality as someone who is involved. I'm not being biased. We have the accreditation. We have our international partners who continuously attest to the quality of our training, without a doubt. Now, the issue then speaks to the capacity of the local authority, the KCMC. And this is where I agree with the Integrity Commission for the KCMC to do their internal checks and report to the public as to whether procedure was adhered to. The Integrity Commission is not in a position to make that determination. So KCMC needs to, and I note the mayor's statement, a press release was sent out, and the mayor indicated that he will be doing his internal checks and publishing a report, and the city engineer was asked to report. And I think that is very important. But if I were the mayor, I would go a step further. I would do the internal checks, but I would also have professionals review what is happening. So open it to the public to say, come and take a look. Here is a report that the city engineer and the technocrats prepared. Is it according to standards? And have the professionals weigh in. Yes, the mayor has indicated that he's going to be open and transparent. And so here is an opportunity for him to be open and transparent, because this is too often that we're hearing about these breaches. And even more so, the fact that it is associated with the leader of government. I think we should act with alacrity. We should ensure that effective governance and management of the local authority comes into play. And these are some of the things that I teach a course on urban governance and management. And I know my students, some of them who are employed to the KCMC, are fully exposed. We do case studies with issues of ethics, and they get to work through some of these problems. So they are aware.
Yes.
It's just a question now of were these things adhered to, and if not, what do we then put in place?
Hear you on that. Professor, that's all the time we have. I say to you as a UTech Knight myself, magna peratem gesta, yeah? Yes. And I bid you good evening, and thank you for joining me on the lead story this evening.
Thanks for having me, George.
Excellent. Professor of Urban Planning and Public Policy, Carl Archer, outstanding exponent in the field of urban planning and public policy. So here's this thing now. We're shifting to the other side of the report, the building code and the building breaches, which the Director of Investigation of the Integrity Commission says he observed at the location at Wycliffe Close, Kingston 6. The fact of the matter is, too many stories are being published. Too many times the courts are ruling against the developers. There seems to be an impunity with which developers breach what they were approved to build by the local authority, whether KCMC or any of the other municipal corporations across this beautiful island. And it is that the deterrent is not deterring enough. It is not strong enough. As things stand, they are being tickled pink with a feather and a mink glove, rather than a cat o' nine being taken to those who breach the rules. And so I am in full agreement with the DI that there needs to be legislative changes to put in place stiff penalties for those who breach. I'm also agreeing that where it is that you profit from the breach, that you be made to forfeit all the profits. I'm also agreeing that where it is that you have been found to have willfully breached the permits that you had in terms of what you were supposed to build against what you eventually built, I'm agreeing with the DI that you should sit out a period from which you are barred from applying for any permit in Jamaica, effectively putting your, as they say in the streets, your cheddar swing at risk, because only then will the problem be solved. Given that I know the quality of the education, the learning that happens at UTech, I can vouch for the quality of those who do the post-monitoring and the continuous evaluation. I too, like Professor Archer, thinks that the problem is there are not enough of them. That's my time here on Lead Story today on this Thursday. I make way for the lady Nika. She's not in black today. She's in blue with a killer pair of black heels. It's a pity you won't be able to see it, but you'll be able to hear her authoritative voice presenting the news at 7.
In the Olivia Shield, the ultimate coronation. Live Saturday, 3 p.m. on CVM TV.
Schoolboy football brought to you by EdgeChem, AIM Financial Corporation, Texaco, Connex Services, Jamaica Stock Exchange, and Sunshine Snacks.
Get Sagicor School Companion Health Plan for as little as $2,540 per month. The time by Sagicor Life is
7 o'clock. CVM News at 7 Headlines Thursday, brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy.
Tonight in CVM News at 7, couple apprehended following deaths of boys in house fire. Irwin High School in mourning as student dies in bus accident. And councillors clash in Clarendon amidst deadlock. Also this evening in the business report, Tech Beat Retreat, advancing the case for Caribbean innovation. While in sports, we have the launch of the CASAFA Rayant Nephew Championship.
News at 7, Headlines Thursday, brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy.
All you want for Christmas is your two-front seat, your two-front seat, your two-front seat. At Jamaica Pegasus, your two-front seat for Christmas comedy cook-off.
Thursday, December 26th at the Grand Ballroom of the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. Gates open 6 p.m. Showtime 7:30 sharp. Call 876-542-4160 for ticket info. Christmas comedy cook-up, serving up laughter.
At Jamaica Pegasus, your two-front seat for Christmas comedy cook-off.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. It's Thursday, December 12, 2024. Thanks so much for having joined us. I'm Nika Lewis. Well, Christmas will be far from merry for those who knew and loved two young boys who perished in a house fire this morning. The youngsters died and their house reduced to rubble after being trapped in the inferno in Culloden, Westmoreland, early Thursday morning. As Chantae McNeil reports, a couple has been taken into custody and investigations are ongoing.
It was a sad awakening Thursday morning for family members and residents of Culloden District, Westmoreland, as they grappled with the devastating news of a fire that claimed the lives of 8-year-old boys Jamar Reed and his uncle Romaine Powell. The boys were trapped inside their home, which was ravaged by the blaze. Allegations are that Jamar's mother had left him in Romaine's care sometime after midnight. Shortly after, neighbors noticed flames engulfing the house and raised an alarm, alerting the Westmoreland Fire Brigade, who reportedly found the board and zinc dwelling enveloped in fury. Divisional Commander and Acting Superintendent for the Westmoreland Fire Department, O'Neill Henry, shared details on the incident.
The brigade responded with 2 units, number 5-22, a pumper, and number 12-7, an ambulance. On arrival at the given location, during scene size-up, the ruins of a house was seen by the crew surrounded by fire. The crew discovered human remains on a burnt-out bed. Another human remain was discovered. At this time, it was acknowledged that these were the bodies of the 2 male children that were trapped in the house on fire.
Meanwhile, Commanding Officer for the Westmoreland Police, Superintendent O'Neill Dobson, has confirmed that 2 people are in custody in relation to the incident.
Our investigation has so far revealed that the children were left in the house alone with a lit candle when the fire occurred. There is currently an adult male and female in custody in relation to this incident. Our investigation is at an advanced stage. The police is urging parents and guardians to be extremely careful where they leave their children, and they should not leave them around candles and other devices which may result in fire.
This tragedy follows a similar incident in mid-November, where a fire in Mountain View Avenue in Kingston claimed the life of a 1-year-old boy. Both the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, and police continue to stress the importance of taking precautionary measures from these preventable tragedies. Chantae McNeil, CVM News.
The nation has lost another student to a motor vehicle accident, as an Irwin High School student becomes the latest addition to the growing number of road fatalities. Brittania Witter has the details.
The Irwin High School family was plunged into mourning Thursday following a tragic incident on Wednesday afternoon that claimed the life of a female student. She has been identified as Deanna Solomon. Reports are that shortly after dismissal, Solomon, a grade 7 student, was allegedly mowed down by a Montego Bay Metro bus. 2 graphic videos have emerged on social media showing the gruesome accident. In the first video, the deceased is seen trapped under the front end of the bus. In the second video, she's seen moving and free from under the bus, but several limbs appear broken, while a person who appears to be the driver of the bus stands over her trying to render assistance, sending students, teachers into a state of panic. She was taken to the Cornwall Regional Hospital, but despite their efforts, the young girl succumbed to her injuries. Chairman of the school board, Nevin Nish, described the tragedy as a devastating blow to the school community.
Ask for continued prayers and support at this time for the school's mental strength. The school stands with the parents, and we just ask for continued prayers and comfort for the family as they're going through a grueling period at this time.
Following the incident, exams have been postponed and counseling services made available to students and staff as the school seeks to support those affected by the incident.
The entire school population is just so very overwhelming at this time. And we just wanted us ask you to just continue to pray with us and for the support.
The school community is still grieving from the loss of young Ranil Plummer, who was fatally stabbed outside the institution's gates earlier this year. Brittania, Witter, CVM News.
And our hearts are with her family. As the 4 men caught after an attempted robbery and alleged shootout with law enforcement await charges, criminologist Dr. Jason McKay says more young people ought to be mindful of the amended gun laws and their likely effect on those caught with weapons. This as the expert shares more insights into hostage situations and likely ramifications. While the country waits for 4 suspects in a robbery and hostage incident in Spalding to be charged, criminologist and hostage negotiator Dr. Jason McKay is sure of a few things concerning that incident. Among them, the likely handling of the negotiations to safeguard lives and de-escalate the tense interaction.
I knew they would set up inner perimeters, outer perimeters, they would get negotiators, they'd more than likely call on the SWAT team or their own unit that they're using for high-risk entry in the parish. Those are the basics I was looking for, and that is pretty much what happened.
What is also obvious to the crime fighter is the likelihood these youngsters will be locked away for some time.
Once you use firearms and determined by the type of firearms, the rifles versus pistols and so on, you could be looking at 25 to 30 years just because you used a gun. But then if you plead guilty, there is the mandatory 50% discount, and I don't think the legal system has quite addressed these 2 acts yet to see where they meet in the middle. Do you get, my personal view, but I'm not an attorney, is that if you plead guilty, then the 50% is applicable to you. But that's just my analysis of the law. Other persons in law don't agree with me and say, no, it's mandatory. So your guilty plea doesn't mean anything. But they're not in agreement with that either. Some are saying what I'm saying, some are saying otherwise.
The lawman is urging Jamaicans to resist the impulse of getting rich via illicit means, especially with the new gun laws and other changes to crime fighting.
If you decide to do something like that, you're looking at a quarter century of life behind bars. Seriously need to reconsider that.
Dr. McKay notes the efforts of law enforcement over the years have yielded many convictions and reveal many of those who hijack or take hostages are either under the influence of hard drugs or mentally challenged. The government says it is firmly confident in the Prime Minister's authority, despite his name being mentioned in the latest Integrity Commission's report. Brittania Witter has more.
Wednesday's post-cabinet briefing comes a day after the Integrity Commission report, which alleged building permit breaches by a company linked to Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Cabinet Office spokesperson, Information Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon reaffirmed confidence in the Prime Minister's leadership despite recent revelations.
Can the Prime Minister effectively lead when his name has been linked to so many adverse IC findings?
I think the Prime Minister can definitely lead, and if you see what is happening, he is leading. He's leading our country very well.
Senator Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon highlighted Holness's accomplishments, including economic growth, infrastructure development, and his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, as reasons for the party's confidence in his leadership. Morris-Dixon did not hold back on what she said was her high personal regard for Holness.
This is someone who I admire. I personally feel really bad about what is happening, and I tell you why. Because I see someone who is working really hard for our country. This is an individual who has given his life to really supporting Jamaica in our dream.
She added that the country needs more leaders like the Prime Minister.
This is someone who I would love to see more leaders like this in our country.
In the IC's report tabled in Parliament on Tuesday, the Director of Investigations concluded that breaches of the building permit issued by the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, KSAMC, were deliberate as planning approval, and the building permit were issued for construction of 4 semi-detached townhouses in 2 two-story buildings consisting of 2-bedroom units. However, it's alleged that at the time of the investigation by the IC, the erected development consisted of 4 4-bedroom units. In a statement released late Tuesday, Holness described the report as targeted and a transparent attempt to attack his reputation. Brittania, Witter, CVM News.
Meanwhile, Marlon Morgan, spokesperson for the Jamaica Labour Party's Communication Task Force, has launched an attack on the IC. Morgan says the JLP is condemning what seems to be, quote, a continuous and unjustified campaign aimed at tarnishing the reputation of the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, and his administration by the Integrity Commission.
In under 2 years, agents within the Integrity Commission have, without credible basis, attacked and effectively maligned the Prime Minister's reputation. In February 2023, agents of the Commission caused to be tabled in Parliament a report which, without credible basis, suggested that the Prime Minister be charged due to an alleged conflict of interest, but quite curiously delayed dissemination of a ruling by the competent authority in the matter, that being the Director of Corruption Prosecution at the Integrity Commission, who opined that there is no basis for criminal proceedings against the Prime Minister. Prior to the belated publication of the ruling, which exonerated the Prime Minister, a senior executive of the Commission circulated across the world via a social media platform content which suggested that the Prime Minister could be facing criminal prosecution, when at the time of circulation, the senior executive would likely have known that to not, in fact, be the case.
We'll have more CVM News at 7 right after this break.
Things valid at over $400,000 with Digicel. When you gift your loved ones a 7-day plan for just $1,100 in My Digicel, share one more gift, one more moment, one more smile. Digicel, better connected this Christmas.
If I want it and it's for the home,
it is here.
It has to be here.
It is here.
Everybody have find things online, but there's nothing that beat when you go inside the store and touch it and feel it.
So I have a little test for you.
Yes. You realize I don't know much about plumbing. Come on, man. Follow me. June, you'll get through, don't worry yourself. It's after on your list.
December 13 and 14 is Quartz Christmas Rush. Deal 10, shop from 7 a.m. to midnight on December 13th. Deal 9, shop items starting at $9,599 each day. Plus get extra discount on credit purchases. Quartz 12 days of Christmas continues. Conditions apply.
Welcome back. Continuing the news, a day dedicated to Jamaica's first female prime minister and political giant Portia Simpson Miller was marked with renewed focus on education and future-proofing. As the nation celebrates the now ailing former prime minister and PNP president, stakeholders shared plans to honor her legacy with more than just a scholarship fund, but possibly a bust, mural, or square. More in this report. Jamaica's first and only female Prime Minister, Portia Simpson Miller, ON, MP, was born on December 12, 1945. That makes the political icon and beloved leader 79 years old on Thursday. As part of her legacy of love and future-proofing, her foundation awarded 7 university students to further their studies in an area she'd see adding value to the nation in years to come. Despite her absence for her celebration and scholarship award ceremony, her warmth remained with many.
Things that stood out for all of us with Portia Lucretia Simpson Miller, which is that hug, that kiss. You know the other part that stood out always for me with that hug and that kiss? That smile that was left on the face of the individual receiving that hug or that kiss.
A kiss, Dr. Brown Burke said she'd years later learned from a young man abroad was what led him to join the People's National Party. It's no wonder those who knew her best are now seeking to honor her with more than scholarships to students in need of financial support.
Are thinking of a number of things. I will just mention some things that have been specifically discussed. We have now to action them in some more deliberate ways. We have spoken specifically about a bust for her in the precincts of this hallowed space, given where she has spent so much of her life and given so much to this institution, that we have thought it appropriate that that be registered here. There is also the discussion about a mural. And the mural, quite frankly, I've discussed it both here as well, but there's also been a discussion about something appropriate at Portia Simpson Miller Square.
That discussion around the square ended with an agreement that it will be more feasible once the party regains power. Her constituency of several decades, Southwest St. Andrew, where she served since 1976 before her retirement from politics, will also be part of her legacy project. Hilton notes her larger-than-life influence and personality must not be forgotten. Mrs. Simpson Miller, though from humble beginnings, would become only the third woman to lead an English-speaking Caribbean country, following Eugenia Charles of Dominica and Janet Jagan of Guyana. Simpson Miller was also ranked by Time magazine as one of the 100 most influential people in the world back in 2012 and is a member of the Council of Women World Leaders for former and sitting female world presidents and prime ministers. Elsewhere in politics, tensions boiled over in Clarendon today as the swearing-in of a new councillor triggered chaos at the monthly meeting of the municipal corporation. The session was abruptly adjourned amid protests and heated exchanges, with the unresolved 11-11 tie of the council now threatening decision-making.
The monthly meeting of the Clarendon Municipal Corporation descended into chaos and was prematurely adjourned following the swearing-in of Councillor Delroy Dawson of the Annan Town Division. Dawson's victory in a November 22 by-election created an 11-11 tie in the council, intensifying tensions and raising critical governance concerns. The uproar began after the councillor for the Hayes Division, the PNP's Sion Barnswell, requested that a resolution addressing the tie be moved up on the agenda. Barnswell argued that resolving the tie was essential to ensure clarity and direction for the council moving forward.
Now that Councillor Dawson has been swearing, Chairman, we now need to deal with this matter to move forward. Chairman, I'm telling you again, Chairman, we need to deal with this matter now in order for us to move ahead with the business of the council.
However, Mayor Joel Williams stood firm, stating that the item would remain as scheduled. Calls for compromise also failed to de-escalate the situation.
There's no place in democracy democracy for a minority to be leading a majority. Mr. Chairman, we now have the majority by virtue of having the votes. If you can't give with the compromise, with the meeting of the stop there.
The unresolved tie threatened to paralyze the council's decision-making, with both sides refusing to budge. With the council's dynamics now changed and the PNP holding the popular vote, opposition councillors are rallying for Williams to resign.
Lost to us by 54 votes, and they all conceded that they lost the election and accept the results. I can't see any difference here in the municipal corporation for the JLP councillors to realize that they no longer have majority in the municipal corporation. And as such, the mayor, the deputy mayor must be from the different political parties. The different committees need to be reorganized and different members being appointed to the different committees and different chairpersons being appointed, because it's not business as usual.
With tensions boiling over and all 11 PNP councillors standing in protest, Williams ultimately moved for an adjournment, abruptly ending the meeting. Delroy Dawson's narrow victory, with 1,646 votes to the JLP's 1,592, follows the passing of JLP councillor Marjorie McLeod McFarlane, who had made history as the first JLP candidate to win the division. Ramon Gordon for CVM News.
Meanwhile, Manchester councillors engaged in a heated debate over the revocation of a permit for a highly anticipated event set to be held this month. More from Brittania Witter.
Tensions flared at the Manchester Municipal Council meeting on Thursday as councillors clashed over the revocation of a permit for a highly anticipated event. The controversy erupted earlier this week when Mayor Donovan Mitchell announced the cancellation of the permit for the event Colour Splash. The decision has provoked a backlash from the event promoter and partygoers who argue that the move was abrupt and lacked proper consultation as the event is scheduled to be held on December 24. Councillor Omar Miller argued on behalf of the event promoter, Aidan Parmer.
I would not at this time suffer a gentleman who would have invested so much to an event.
Councillor Anthony Bryce interrupted Miller, prompting Mayor Mitchell to intervene.
If you are keeping apart, I have put the plan. What is the point?
All right, that's not the point. All right.
What is the point?
Councillor, stop the cross talking for me. Stop the cross.
Come to the council first.
That's a point of clarification. It's all right. I'll deal with it afterwards.
Meanwhile, the event promoters' lawyers have entered the fray, sending a formal letter to the municipality.
Somewhat where we, my lawyer, have it in the letter that it was submitted to the council, and it states that the revoke of the permit, it can't be just one person making that decision. It should have been a discussion, and we see where we can rectify the issue before they making that decision.
However, Mitchell did put the matter to a vote, which saw 9 councillors in favour of upholding the revocation, 2 against, and 2 abstentions. Brittania Witter, CVM News.
Stay with us for so much more right after this break.
I Create Limited to Kintyre Holdings, we are embracing a future full of possibilities where innovation meets growth and opportunities are endless. Kintyre Holdings emerges as a diversified powerhouse, driving growth across key sectors such as real estate, fintech, technology, advertising, and tourism. Kintyre Holdings isn't just rebranding. We are building a future of innovation, impact, and growth for Jamaica, the Caribbean, and beyond. Kintyre Holdings. See, believe, achieve. Visit our website, kintyre.holdings, for more information.
We welcome you back. Now to the business report with Joel Crossgill.
Lots to share with you in the business report today about sun, sea, sand,
and silicon, the premise of an event that seeks to synchronize attention towards the region and the potential of an expanded technological horizon, was downloaded and unpacked by its binary of co-founders, Kirk Hamilton and Carl Maloney, for your consideration.
We want to take the opportunity to welcome you to what is the 7th staging of Tech Beach Retreat in Jamaica. So we started this journey in 2016, Kyle and myself, and funny enough, as all things, life comes full circle.
This weekend is what I look forward to the most every single year. And it's because we've built a community of people that are so open, while at the same time being so ambitious, and represent what is possible for us in the region. And there's a saying that I say all the time, that our futures cannot and will not be linear extrapolations of our past. It's fancy words, but what I mean by that is that my generation and the younger generation at times, I feel like they feel sort of stifled because they feel that progress in the region can only happen very incrementally, very linearly, very slow, and sometimes it feels very pedantic. But through the platform that we've built with Tech Beach, it centers on the premise that we all come here together because we believe that exponential things can come from the region. And we are the people that will build and create those exponential outcomes.
Fanning the flames of speakers as varied as Jack Dorsey, co-founder of Twitter, to Michelle Romanow of Dragon's Den. The BR, however, gives focus to a homegrown talent with continental reach, who has helped define and magnetize thought around the dynamics of global tourism in the 21st century, with an aplomb now applied towards what has essentially been kindled and maintained as a calendar event think camp along the coast for those so inclined.
You are the visionary minds and trailblazers who are shaping the future of technology and its intersection with tourism. Today, I think that as minister, I am as passionate an advocate for the transformation power and the transformative power of digital technology in our beloved tourism sector. We are at the cusp of a new era, one where technology and tourism intertwines to create experiences that are more enriching, accessible, and sustainable than ever before. The merger of human intelligence and machine intelligence, called simulation, is going to create that perfect situation that enables this knowledge generation, which we now have, to transcend itself into an age of wisdom.
Having received numerous accolades along the way, including the most recent award of the prestigious Gushy Peace Prize in Manila. The minister, who stewards Jamaica's position in possibly the globe's largest and most viscerally celebrated economic contributor by sector, curated the following itinerary of thought for Tech Beach 2024 to consider.
You are part of this great new revolution, if not evolution, of human experiences on planet Earth. And that you are at the vortex of the creation of a new element of global experiences. So this retreat challenges us all. It challenges us to new thinking, it challenges us to innovation. But it also reminds you that tourism, which is the most consumption-driven activity on planet Earth, that involves the largest number of people simultaneously of any activity on planet Earth, is at the heart of this transformation. And that every new idea that you can think of has a place in tourism.
And that was your business report. I'm Joel Crossgill.
We take a break. Stay with us.
KFC, it's finger-licking good. The time by KFC is...
VoiceBox Performing Arts invites you and your entire family
to be a part of Our Christmas Wish, a festive experience featuring the VoiceBox Kids and our special guest, Uncle Kevin Donswell, and a few other big surprises.
Join us on Sunday, December 15th at 7 p.m. at the Carl Hendrickson Auditorium, Jamaica College. Gates open at 6 p.m. Tickets are for $3,500 for adults
and $2,000 for picnic.
Get them now at La Shushan and Copycat Barbican or email us at voicebox876@gmail.com.
Our Christmas Wish is sponsored by CVM TV, the Digital Foundation, Island Grill, JPS, TST, Edna Manley College, Starlight, and AV Montage Limited.
See you there!
December 13 and 14 is Quartz Christmas Rush. Deal 10, shop from 7 a.m. to midnight on December 13th. Deal 9, shop items starting at $9,599 each day. Plus get extra discount on credit purchases. Quartz 12 days of Christmas continues. Conditions apply.
This is a public service announcement. Yo, 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 JPS have something for light up your Christmas. 101 lucky customers are gonna get real happy with them light bill paid this Christmas. That's over $2 million in light. Use the My JPS app to view your bill, set your budget, and track your usage, and you could win. Download and start using the My JPS app today. JPS, pouring what matters this Christmas. Promotion ends December 27. Conditions apply.
The following tip is brought to you by
Hawkeye, securing what matters most.
Landscaping isn't just for show. It can also be a burglary prevention tool. Keep shrubs and hedges below 2 feet and tree canopies above 6 feet. This removes hiding places for criminals. The preceding tip was brought to you by
Hawkeye, securing what matters most.
VoiceBox Performing Arts invites you and your entire family
to be a part of Our Christmas Wish, a festive experience featuring the VoiceBox Kids and our special guest, Uncle Kevin Donswell, and a few other big surprises.
Join us on Sunday, December 15th at 7 p.m. at the Carl Hendrickson Auditorium, Jamaica College. Gates open at 6 p.m. Tickets are for $3,500 for adults
and $2,000 for picnic.
Get them now at La Shushan and Copycat Barbican or email us at voicebox876@gmail.com.
Our Christmas Wish is sponsored by CVM TV, the Digital Foundation, Island Grill, JPS, TST, Edna Manley College, Starlight, and AV Montage Limited.
See you there!
Welcome back. Here's what's happening on social media.
So, what's trending in our local social media spaces? The government of Japan has generously donated 27 brand new vehicles to support the Jamaica Constabulary Force. This donation was made possible through the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, and was officially handed over at the Office of the Commissioner of Police in St. Andrew on Tuesday, December 10. Here are some of your reactions to this news. At Bureau Media writes, Jamaica appreciates the gift, Japan. At Sean Knight shares, my underfit can't run well if this. At Xlove Jojo comments, but what do they want in return? Months from now, I don't want to see that our government sell way out for 27 service car. Twix_2 says, can use them drop off 2 barrel. Holy Kingdom posts, 1 patrol and everybody drop out. And Kwame876 adds,